Hi, my name is Mark Warnke. I'm one of the owners of Outdoors International, and we are an adventure consulting firm. And as a result of our position in the industry, sometimes I come across some really amazing new products. I'm so excited to share this one with you because keeping things cool is a huge thing that as outdoorsmen we constantly deal with. And what I'm going to be able to show you today is a way to replace this with this, the PŌLR Cube. Now what the PŌLR Cube gives us is a solution to so many problems that buying bagged ice creates. Now remember, bagged ice, Americans alone spend $4 billion a year on bagged ice. And it melts, it goes away, it's gone. That's the problem, it doesn't last. So we're doing all kinds of funny things to try to create solutions for that currently, like spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a cooler that our children can't even pick up if it's empty. But how many times have you found yourself 20 miles down the road and your wife looks at you and she goes, "Oh my God, did we forget to buy the ice?" Or how many times do you find yourself at that gas station breaking that block of ice on an oil-infested and gas-infested concrete pavement, and then you throw it in your cooler with all your food? Now the super neat news is that we have now created a solution to that, and I'm so excited to tell you how this works. The secret behind the PŌLR Cube is the fact that it freezes much, much colder than ice. Now remember, ice can only get to 32 degrees. That's as cold as it can get. But because of the proprietary mixture that we actually have inside the cube, the freezing temperature drops substantially. Now, you're going to go out and look, and you're going to see that there are other ice replacers on the market. Now, be very clear. You'll notice that all of them use Celsius. Now, why? Well, to confuse the consumer. The reality is, this proprietary mixture has the capability to freeze at essentially its surrounding temperature. And most freezers will be from 0 to 5 degrees, and many are even much colder. The ice that you have in that freezer, 32 degrees. The PŌLR Cube, we've tested temperatures of -17, -20 degrees out of the PŌLR Cube, and it holds cold longer. So as a result of that, you have the capability to use it in two ways. And those two ways are as a sole independent source, an ice replacement. You got 4 cubes in your freezer, you pull them out, you load up your 2 coolers, and you're gone. No stopping at the gas station, you're ready to rumble. Or you use these to enhance this. Now, the choice is yours. I've used it both ways and had tremendous results with both. You should know in the testing that we've done, we've gotten somewhere between 30 and 50% more life out of the ice by using the cube. What that means is instead of running into cooler soup midday Saturday and dealing with it all day long on Sunday, now what you're going to get is you're probably going to get home to a nice, tidy, sanitary cooler when you get home Sunday night, as opposed to dealing with the mess that you create with the current model today. Now the PŌLR Cube is non-toxic and environmentally safe. And the construction of the actual cube itself is very durable and allows for the flexibility of the freezing and refreezing of the cube. And what that means is this is super reusable. You're going to use it again and again and again. And for the same price of a couple of weekends worth of ice, you're going to be able to get the cube. Now currently we're trying to create a solution to this dilemma with ice lasting longer with very, very expensive strategies. This cooler, good cooler, lots of us grew up with it, $17.99. This cooler, $300 plus, right? Matters which size you get and all that stuff, but that's a very expensive solution. Now I'm not saying this cooler isn't great, it's awesome. It's just expensive. And this cooler's great. But the reality is if we use the PŌLR Cube, we have the capability to have this performance be very similar to this for around 20 bucks based on how many you get. Now for those of you who already have this cooler, I get it. It's an awesome cooler. And you will not believe what this will do to extend the life of the ice in this cooler. So now, How much? Well, that's the good news. It's super affordable, and the more you buy, the less it is. So if you buy one, it's going to be 30 bucks. If you buy two, they're $25 a piece. And if you buy four, they're 20 bucks each. So think about that. You're going to spend this money. You're going to spend that money either way. Because this is reusable, now you only have to do it once. And you're going to get years worth out of this one-time purchase. But more importantly, you're going to solve the hassle of cooler soup, of getting ice, of preparing for it to fit in your cooler, and on and on. The implications of buying bagged ice versus getting yours today, it's a no-brainer. So click on Buy Now and get your Polar Cube coming to your front door. All right, so what we wanted to test was when you have the 4-pack of Polar Cubes in your freezer, we believe that it's going to help your freezer last longer in case the power goes out. And all of us as outdoorsmen or just general people, if you got one of those garage freezers and it unplugs or something happens, the power goes out, whatever it is, how long will it take for everything in there to melt with cubes and without cubes? So we're going to test that. So this one, and we have all the cooler freezers set at the same temperatures, and we're monitoring everything. So this is what we're going to use to monitor it is we've filled set levels. I think it was 3.5 liters, but it expanded. No, it was 3 liters and it expanded of water in 3 containers. And then we got 4 cubes versus just the 3 containers. And so now we'll see the difference in life of these, and we'll unplug them and just let them do their thing. So, all right. So unplugged, you can see unplugged because we're no longer getting a watt meter, and now they're just running on their own. So we'll see how it goes. So we tape these doors shut so that nobody in the break room would open these up, and we were surprised to come in. We did it in like 9:30 this morning. It's 2:30 this afternoon. So we got, if you remember, we got ice in both, same amount of ice. We got freezers. This has 4 Polar Cubes in it. This has none. If you come in here, you'll see the Polar Cube freezer is now at 15 degrees internally, and the one without the Polar Cubes is now almost 25 degrees, 24.8 internally. So pretty interesting to see. I'm really curious by the time we give this some time what that temperature variance is. But if you think about it, this freezer is going to start thawing internally very soon. So the ice is going to start melting inside of this one. This one's still 15 degrees above zero. Pretty cool. Just totally curious how it's going to work out. This freezer right now is 37 degrees. And this freezer now is over 40. So that's the difference. This has the cubes in it, this one doesn't. We taped the door shut so nobody would open these in the break room here. But so if we check the ice levels in the Polar Cube, wow, check it out. And actually, so it looks like, okay, so we got some water in the bottom of that. So that's starting to melt, and the weird part is these like squished up, so it's kind of deceptive. That used to be down to the fill level, but that's actually how much melting we have because that's collecting all the water. So there's our amount of melt in the cooler with the cubes, and we'll see what we got melt-wise in here. The melt in here with no cubes, wow, big difference. So definitely, and I can't pop it out, but you can see, as opposed to it being swimming, I think we're going to see a lot bigger difference tomorrow visually, but right now it's just hard to see. But I would say it's probably double. I'll hold this. Really. Wow. Okay, well, that's got to be a 50% difference. Let me open the other one up just a look. All right. So here's the 2. You can see from, I mean, it's, I think we're being generous saying it's only half a difference. I bet you it's 60-40. Amazing. Wow, that's pretty cool. I didn't expect it to last this long. We're on day 4. If you actually look at the temperature in here, we're still at 38.7 degrees, and it's actually been holding at that for all 4 days. So we're still food safe in this freezer. You have a big bunch of meat or whatever you keep in your garage freezer, just because you have the PŌLR cubes in there, it's still good. Now this is the one that's just ice, just your meat, and power goes out and it gets unplugged. Day 4, it's been since day 2 that it's been non-food safe. So, crazy. Now I haven't cracked these open yet, so I'm super curious, as probably you are. So here's the one, let's do this one first. So here's the one without the cube, and it's what I suspected. So we have this, has this much ice left. Now, here's another kind of interesting thing. If you pay attention, on the top, no ice, right? So inside of this freezer, what's happening is what happens everywhere, hot air rises. So the top one has less than the middle one, and the bottom one has the most. So this is their best case scenario. Okay, so that's best case scenario. And now let's look at the PŌLR cube one. Wow, no way. So this one, let's see if I can get it out this time, has this cube, which is obviously not even comparable. That's the worst case scenario. That's the worst one. Let's look at the bottom one, which is going to be the best case scenario. So that's the comparable. So let's just grab that. So there's their bottom one. Now, crazy. I cannot believe how crazy this thing is. It's amazing. Look at the difference. Internal temperature of this one with the cubes now after 5 days is 41.8 degrees. So it just went over what's considered food safe, which is around 40. This one's been over it for a long time. It's at 62 degrees. Now, pretty amazing. Let's just kind of look at the difference. I'm sure this one's going to be out of ice now. It was really close yesterday. So yeah, even on the bottom shelf, that'll hold the most, the most cold, because heat rises even inside of a freezer. This one is still where it is, but here's the difference. So the difference is profound. It's really been huge. I'm blown away. Crazy. So really what this means, and remember, a freezer will perform a lot better. A freezer will perform a lot better when it's full. So imagine if this was full of meat and you had your 4 cubes, you would last a long time. I mean, again, these have been plugged for 5 days now. So that old coming home, been gone for a few days, freezer's done, and you come home to a bloody mess. That's just not a reality anymore if you got the PŌLR cube. Pretty cool. All right, so we're running the test today on the PŌLR cube, and what we're going to do is we're going to test similar coolers. So the same cooler with 2 bags of ice and 2 cubes, and this one's going to have 2 bags of ice. So we're going to see which one lasts the longest, and then we're going to do the same with the high-end cooler. So we're going to kind of have the cheap cooler, how long does it last? Expensive cooler, how long does it last? And just kind of see the differences. Wow, weird. So, I guess it's safe to assume that's a little colder than ice. Wow, trippy. Alright, so there's that.
Super cool.
And then, whoa, kind of hard to...
Is there any water in the bottom of that?
I don't know. Yeah, there is. There's already water there. Again, right?
No. Is there any water in this one? Not really. A little
No.
bit.
Okay, and then there's that one. Did it all yet?
Wow.
It's actually still. It's just all stuck together. See that? So it's all around it. If I pull it, I'll pull it apart. So that's all frozen still. And if you look at this, this is all water. But you can see it's all just a solid mass around here. I don't really think. Okay, if you look down in the bottom of that, there's a teeny bit of water starting in there. Is all. And this top is still really nice and dry. And then this one, lots of water. See that? By water, but there's still more ice than you're thinking here. I mean, there's part of that iceberg still stuck to this, and both polar cubes still have ice in them as well. I would say they are about, you can see it's a gel, right? So you can see it kind of moving around in there. So there's a middle part that I can feel it's a little bit solid, but still super cold to the touch, still frozen, that sort of thing. So there's that. And then this one, as I suspected, I would say the water's cool-ish. It's definitely still not room temperature, but it's definitely done. Some ice. If I had to guess, remember this started out as 2 bags of ice, I would say there's probably 20% left, I'm guessing. Where this one, I would say it's still like 50%. But again, that's a guess. But I mean, still a lot. Not a lot of water. Iceberg around this. And these ones, look, these are almost all solid still. Comparison of a $300-ish cooler compared to a $17 cooler. This is the $300 cooler after 5 days. This is the $17 cooler after 5 days with the polar cubes. Wow. Pretty awesome. We got something here. So it's the morning of Tuesday, and remember we put this in on 1 o'clock on Thursday. So here's the 2 less expensive coolers, and kind of see what they're doing. Remember yesterday this was already water. Now it's still cold-ish, but it's not cold. Remember this room's about 70. And then by comparison, we're down to water now in this cooler as well. What you would be curious about is it's still super cold. So the gel obviously is thawed, but we have still cold. We wouldn't have spoilage. This ice just melted, I'm guessing, maybe a couple hours ago. So this one did outlast it, but not by a ton, right? So we'll probably get another day maybe out of this, my guess is. So as a direct comparison, kind of interesting. We got awful close. And once again, crazy. Wow. So this, essentially none. This still has things like icebergs. This is still solid. And okay, wow, so this is done. That kind of surprises me. I didn't think that would be done yet. 2 bags of ice. And still a good amount of ice. And look at that. We still got the iceberg. So it's still frozen solid to the outside. Still lots of ice. Here's the thing. Wow. How cool is that? So there's your difference. Profound difference. Wow. That's still got lots of ice. And this one is water. And now is on its 2nd day of being water. A very decent amount of ice in here. Super cold on your hands kind of ice. And look at that. It's still iceberg. totally room temperature now. Been non-food safe for at least a couple days. This cooler, only difference is wow, cool, it does still have ice. No way. Now, we're down to the last few pieces. I'm super curious if the iceberg has fallen off. Oh my God, it hasn't on this one. No way, it's still there. So, this thing is below freezing enough to still make this be frozen solid to its exterior. Awesome. I don't think it'll last till tomorrow, but it'll definitely still be food safe. And we'll check. I guess we got one more day we got to do. Crazy. All right, so it is day 10. It's Saturday. We put it in Thursday of last week. This is the cooler, the only one that still has cold left in it. It has the 2 cubes in it. We're going to see on day 10 if there's still ice in there. I'll be kind of surprised if there is. But what I want to test is it still 32 degrees, right? Because the cube is still holding cold. Well, I'm going to test the 2 and just know it's Saturday. Nobody's in the office, so I'm filming this myself, and it's going to be what it's going to be. So it's what I suspected, is that there's no ice left, but it is ice cold. Here's what I want to try to do. So I'm going to use this. This is a thing that like the health department uses to get temperatures off of stuff. And so I'm going to shoot that one and get the temperature reading of the water, and then shoot this one and see if this is still food safe 10 days later. So food safe is usually considered below 40 degrees. Okay, so that one, and I'm not sure if you can see it, is 67. Okay, and this one is 38. So we're still food safe that many days later. Now, interesting thing is I kind of actually expected it to still be like 32, 33, but it's still food safe. And so I think this is probably day 10 is going to be it.